Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are covering a new species, the African Sawtail Catshark, Galeus polli. So I'm pretty excited about this one, and I'm excited to explore this family in general. Hey Howard, welcome back. Good evening to you too. Thank you so much for joining. Also, I got to showcase this really cool piece of art that you sent in. Let me go ahead and get this open. Did you have a good weekend, by the way? I have quite a few, actually. There we go. Sorry about that. I should have had this open earlier. Boom! Check that out. So this is super cool. This is a double feature, which I really appreciate. This is the South African frill shark, Chlamydosolacus africana, on the right side of the screen, and then the African Sawtail Shark, Galeus polli, on the left. So this is by Howard Kerr. So Howard, this looks super cool, and I'm really excited about this because it's not only like a double feature, but it's a double feature of these two species that occupy a similar part of the ocean. And we actually learned about the African Sawtail Shark last week, since it was we were covering the South African frilled shark, and this African Sawtail Shark occurs in the same area. So it's super cool to see. Oh, nice! Awesome! Nice weekend spent with family. Fantastic! Oh, awesome! Glad to hear that. We did... Oh, sorry. We did a last-minute Wendy venue tour over the weekend, so super fun. Just really busy, lots of running around, and then also we're just getting ready for the holidays, so just busy time of year. But overall, pretty good. So, but yeah, this is really cool. I love the look of both species that you sent over, and especially I really love the inclusion of another deep water species, the round-nosed grenadier. I remember when I used to work at VIMS, we had grenadier fish in the fisheries lab, and then what was this? It was like a deepwater lizardfish that was extremely creepy. I've mentioned it before, but it's kind of cool that it's on different sides of the Atlantic, yet there's like similar fauna. As far as like grenadiers go. But as far as the sharks go, both illustrations are really excellent. On the left, I really love how you captured the pattern of the African Sawtail Shark, the round eyes, and just like it's really cool, that little shot, that angle of it going after the grenadier. And then the frill shark is just incredible. Because like you can see like the squared off features at the top of the snout, the beautiful big like iridescent green eyes, which is a great deep water adaptation. The collar where the frill shark gets its name. And then I also appreciate that part of it is like the angle, but part of it I think I suspect this is intentional. Like the head is a bit larger on the frill shark, and that's a really cool subtle feature and nod to what makes the South African frill shark different from the classic one. So, oh, how we're not ready for Christmas? Yeah, same here. To be honest, it's funny. Like it's just, I think the first half of the holiday season, like the setup is kind of stressful, and then the second half is kind of like the more enjoyable half. So, but I feel you on that. So. But yeah, this is a really great piece, so thank you so much for sending or submitting. This is super cool, and this is one of my favorites this year of your work. So this looks really cool. So thank you so much for sending this over. I'm excited to dive into not just the African Sawtail Shark, but also its family, Pentanchidae. It's actually quite a diverse family. And we don't have footage of this species, but we do have footage of its cousins, so across different genera. So I'm excited to kind of see some of the differences. Pentanchidae, I think, is a more recent. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's not a recently described family, but it's a family that is getting more recent additions because these are the deepwater cat sharks. So we'll take a closer look at what that means. So, but here we have the. Just as a quick overview, the African Sawtail Catshark is on the left, so we'll just kind of pull this open here. So here we go. So this is the African Sawtail Catshark. What's interesting and kind of immediate to me is the dorsal fins are a little unusual looking. They are equal in size, and they're a little bit more squared off. And then you have the very large anal fin, which is actually much larger than the second dorsal fin. And then the pelvic fin is also larger than the dorsal fin, so it's kind of an unusual shape. And I don't know if this is a feature that distinguishes this from Scaleurinidae, which are like the classic cat sharks. But it's kind of interesting. Like the fins are, the dorsal fins are very unusual looking, both for their square shape and for their small size. So, and then also the anal fin and pelvic fin being considerably larger is also interesting to see. So, but here is our species for tonight. Galeus polli, the African Sawtail Catshark. Let's see what we have. So the description: large pectoral fins, equally sized dorsal fins, dermal denticle crest along upper margin of tail. Interesting. So I guess that's where it gets its name. So Sawtail Catshark comes from a crest of dermal denticles, which we know is like the tooth-like scales that all sharks have. But it's kind of interesting that for Sawtail Catsharks, and I actually didn't know that that's how they got their name. I thought it was like the shape of the tail for some reason, but that makes a lot more sense. So it's something to do with the dermal denticle, or it is the dermal denticle crest along the top of the tail. So that's actually really cool. Let's see. The color. Sometimes pale gray with distinct dark saddle blotches, usually 11 or less. What's kind of cool is like this illustration is one morph of the African Sawtail Catshark, but there's another one. This looks a little bit different, and it's the same species, but it's kind of cool to compare the illustrations where this one, the colors are a little bit more subtle, a little bit more gray. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 saddles. 1, 2, 3 dark blotches on the tail. And then on this one, the upper markings are a lot more conspicuous. They're less subtle than the other illustration, and a little bit more vibrant looking. You have this nice cream color base, kind of like what it looks very striking versus like the dark brown on the back. This is interesting. And here it is again. Sorry, I just hold this note. Upper caudal fin margin with prominent crest of enlarged sawtooth-like denticles. So, oh, cool. Howard, just saw your comment. Dermal crest equals excellent defense. Interesting. That's actually really cool. And that would, I'm curious if maybe, because we know that some sharks are able to, I mean, we know that all sharks are flexible because they're made of pure muscle almost. So, they have a lot of flexibility in that some sharks, like dogfish, will arch their backs so that they can stab potential predators or like fishermen handlers with their spines. So it's kind of cool to think like it's not really too far off to think that this kind of cat shark might be able to, if it is a defense mechanism, it might be able to kind of like use its tail like in a very quick motion. What's kind of cool is that a cousin of this is the shy shark, which uses its tail to cover its eyes. So it has that flexibility to use the tail in a certain way. You have a completely different order, but thresher sharks use their tails extremely flexibly to stun fish. So that's actually really cool if that's a defense mechanism. So I'm excited to learn more about that. While we're here, let's see. This is I think an FAO guide. So African Sawtail Catshark, Pinta roja africana. Let's see. A deepwater bottom-dwelling cat shark known to occur in the FAO area 47, the upper continental slope off Namibia and South Africa. Here's a photograph of it in life. This photograph is a little bit more like this illustration, it looks like. And no other notes really. Very little species, very small one. So that size comparison right there. Let's read here. Habitat demersal on the continental shelf and upper continental slopes at depths of 159 to 720 meters. Threats may inhabit depths beyond the reach of some regional fishing activities, but it's reported as bycatch and demersal trawl fisheries in northern Guinea and southern Namibia and South Africa parts of its range. Large quantities of the species are regularly caught as bycatch in the Namibian bottom trawl fishery for hake, and the majority are already badly injured or dead by the time they reach the vessel. No notes on the tail. Let's see. Here's there should be a more robust guide with Galeus polli, and that looks like a black and white illustration of the same image. Hey Mingus, welcome back. Oh, no worries. Teeny tiny. No worries. While you're, we'll finish this guide. But while you're here, we'll take a quick look at. We do have footage of cousins of this species, including a very cute teeny tiny cat shark that is swimming by people's legs. So we'll take a look at that clip in a little bit. But hope you're well, Mingus. Hope you're doing well in this new semester. For this, because I remember a couple weeks ago you mentioned there was like a paper, so I hope that everything went well with that. So, but Galeus polli, English name is African Sawtail Catshark. Chinenrape is the French name. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce that. And the Spanish is Pentanchidae africana. Same illustration as before. Details on diagnostic features. Deepwater bottom shark on the upper continental slope at 200 to 720 meters in depth. So it's kind of cool to see that this, when you first see this color pattern, it almost looks like it's a shallow water species, like a reef species or a subtropical species. But it's interesting that it lives in pretty much exclusively in the twilight zone, 200 to 720 meters. So. Speaking of which, I have on the background Dredge, which I've never played, but I've heard it's pretty good. It's like this kind of Lovecraftian kind of ocean exploration game, so kind of sounds really interesting. But it's good spooky vibes, good mysterious ocean vibes. So. Reproductive mode, unlike most other Galeus species, is live bearing without a yolk sac, or viviparous live bearing without a yolk sac placenta. Litters range from 5 to 13. Let's see, larger female. This is actually kind of cool. This is applicable to a lot of sharks. Larger females tend to have more embryos, so the larger the shark, the more offspring they usually have. Let's see. Galeus polli is the only confirmed Galeus species known to exhibit viviparity to date. Oh, actually, okay. Sorry, this just kind of hit me. Cat sharks usually lay eggs, and this is a cat shark that doesn't do that. This is a cat shark that displays live birth. Wow, actually. Because for a second, I was like, that's interesting that they're making a note on live birth, but it's that actually is kind of remarkable as far as cat sharks go, because we're used. I mean, there's so many guides on it's like a famous. Well, it's not just a famous thing. It's like a default thing for Scanorhinidae. Or Abrosturus cat sharks, they all lay eggs, so that's really unusual. So really cool about the species. And also, it just kind of shows, I feel like as a group, sharks are just so extremely diverse as far as their reproduction, because they run the entire gamut. Even closely related species can have very different modes of reproduction, and specifically thinking of tiger sharks versus their cousins, like bull sharks and sandbars. So that's really wild that there's a cat shark that gives live birth. That's very, very unusual. So interesting. The diet of this species consists mainly of teleos, so bony fish, mostly myctophids. If I remember correctly, these are lanternfish, but also to a lesser extent crustaceans and cephalopods. So likely squid, probably. Very small shark. Interest to fisheries limited, caught in bottom trawls and utilized fresh for human consumption and for fish meal, or discarded as unwanted bycatch. So, okay. And then here is the range. So a huge latitudinal range covering deep water, tropical, Western Africa, and then temperate Western Africa. So pretty interesting. So we'll take a look at some catshark cousins. So these should be in the same family, but these are very different species. So this one, I can't quite verify what it is, but it does seem to be in the same group. So, but really, that almost looks like, from the face, it almost looks like a dogfish, but it has, the classic anal fin. It does have like the long triangular anal fin. So I am not 100% sure what kind of catshark this is, but I believe this is in the same family, Pentanchidae. And you can kind of see like the dorsal fins also are equal in size, just like Galeus polli, and they are squared off. But this is a really cool experience. These adorable sharks just swimming freely in Taiwan. Chilling on the seabed. They have these really pretty big blue eyes and these really cute small faces. Let's actually expand that for a better view. So can you imagine doing this? Just wading in the water and like a little shark swimming up to you? That's really the dream. So, but from just a first glance, I think this is a Pentanchidae. It looks very similar to the African Sawtail Catshark. Again, the kind of squared off, equal-sized dorsal fins. The strain, like the really compressed and elongated shape of the anal fin. Being far back on the body and being much larger than the dorsal fins, I do feel like this looks very, very similar. I don't think this is the same species, but it is a close cousin. So, what's kind of cool you can notice about this little guy is, and we'll pause. Well, huge, beautiful eyes, but also pretty large spiracles right behind the eyes too. Equal-sized dorsal fin. Oh, actually, sorry, my face is blocking that. Equal-sized dorsal fins here. Again, this shot is so confusing because you've got these like little speckles, so this looks so much like a dogfish, even though it's completely different. Again, equal-sized dorsal fins, far back on the body. Clearly, easy way to tell this apart from dogfish is the existence of an anal fin. All squaliforms don't have that, but catsharks are part of carchariniforms, and they do like all carchariniforms have an anal fin. Some other interesting things is that this is a very active swimmer and clearly sticking very close to the bottom. So it does not like to be in mid-water column. And clearly is capable of just sitting on the seabed, pumping water over its gills, and just taking a break. Again, love those eyes. Really, really pretty. So yeah. So that is a kind of Pentanchid. So Pentanchidae is the deepwater catsharks, but I don't see in the description which one it is specifically. So, unfortunately. So we'll kind of keep looking at some other ones. This one is a familiar face. Just gonna catch up on the comment. Oh, Mingus, I love that. I would cry because I'd want to pick it up very badly, even though that would be bad. I hear you. Yeah. Oh, hey. So working on it. Have a week and a half to finish it. Final weeks as always. Oh, I hear you. Yeah. No. Good. Best of luck. Just as far as hope you have like your comfort food. Like I think I mentioned this in one stream, but I always used to get like just. What was it? Walleye buffalo chicken sandwich and a caramel macchiato. Those were my study party food. So best of luck. I just hope you and your friends are treating yourselves as you prepare for finals. Because that's important. That's really fun and important. So, yeah, very cute species. Here's another small one. This one is much more closely related because blackmouth catshark is another kind of Galeus. This is a little bit. This is a much closer. It actually, I feel like the other one probably is also Galeus, but this blackmouth catshark is Also swimming very close to the bottom, has very similar features. I know it's kind of hard to see these in the distance, but he does have the large anal fin, he does have the two small dorsal fins far back on the body. Hopefully he'll swim back in frame. Oh, here we go. There he is. You know what? I think this is a lanternfish. These might be lanternfish. It's kind of cool. And I know they're just iridescent, but it's their body shape that I think gives it away. I think those are lanternfish. So I know they're not glowing. I know that's just the iridescence from the camera light, but I think that is one. So there he is again, coming in from the bottom right. There he goes. He's swimming in front of the Indonesian flag on the screen, and then back into the darkness. There's some hagfish in the back. You can see these like very elongated shapes. So this looks like a really deep water environment, which is appropriate for the family. And it was kind of cool. Again, we first learned of this species on the South African frilled shark stream, because we were looking at a guide of deep water sharks in I think it is deep water sharks in Namibia, and this one came up, so which was kind of cool. Again, it's a very colorful, or not this one, but like the South African, or the African Sawtail Catshark. Sorry, the African Sawtail Catshark is a colorful looking species, but still a deep water shark nonetheless. So. It's kind of cool seeing all of this material, all this matter like marine snow. Lava. Oh, this might be sped up footage right here. But a lot of that is just organic material, which is the basis of a lot of food chains for a lot of different animals. It's kind of cool to see this footage sped up, actually. And that's actually really cool, where you can clearly see the current. I'm just kind of rewinding a little bit, but you can clearly see the current heading from the left side of the screen to the right side. And there's a really cool shot where lanternfish is swimming against the current. There we go. There's one. That's actually really cool that he's still continuing to be in frame. So. Alright. Whoops. Yeah, we'll kind of keep going. So yeah, that was a kind of Galeus. Oh hey Bruce, welcome back. Remember to stay away from anything with a ton of protein, makes you tired. So. Oh yes, gotcha. I did not know that. For study party, yep. I actually wish I knew that, because that's actually really good advice that my much younger self should have taken for college. So thank you, Bruce. So also, Bruce, hope you're doing well in school as well. Just wishing you the best for studying and study parties. Oh yeah. Minja's scary reminds me that deep ocean isn't just stagnant. Yes, lots of animals. I think one kind of funny thing, and also thank you, Howard. Sorry about the audio, but one kind of funny thing about the ocean in general is worms are everywhere. Not gonna lie, that's just a reality of the ocean. There's a lot of worms are everywhere in the ocean, like in the seabed and stuff. And some of them are a little creepy. In the Chesapeake Bay, and I think in a lot of the Atlantic, there is the bloodworm, which you don't want to pick it up because it does have really. It does have a bite. It's a blood red worm that lives in mud flats. And if you do pick it up, it can actually eject its I don't know if you would call it a proboscis, but it's like this kind of black tooth thing, and actually bite you. So fun fact, clamworms, which are very common. I used to find clamworms on the beach. They can also nip a little bit. And those are probably like the most common kind of worm. On the Atlantic coast is probably like a clam worm. So, yeah, they're here, and it's kind of funny. Like a lot of marine biology students, they get into it wanting to study like sharks and turtles and whales, and the ocean is a very beautiful, complex place. But it includes many facets, including the worms. So they're a very important part of the food chain. They're a very important part of the ecosystem. They clean up the ecosystem actually extremely well. But yeah, and it's kind of funny when you compare land versus sea. A lot of these worms are cousins of earthworms, but on land we don't really have a lot of worm-like things, and then at sea there's a bunch. So, fun facts. So this is kind of cool. This is a different wing of Pentanchidae. So this is the same family as the African Sawtail Catshark and other Galeus. It's a familiar face. We've seen this clip before probably. These are the Deepwater Catsharks, Abrosturus. So you can kind of see some similar features where you have like the equal-sized dorsal fins, the large anal fin close to the back of the body. But it's definitely very different where it's a uniform color pattern. Overall, kind of less energetic, slower, kind of spookier look. I would even say proportionally the dorsal fins seem a bit larger than when you compare it with Galeus. So this is really cute. The lollipop cat shark. I don't think this is the same family. Parmaturus. I have to double check if Parmaturus is in the same family. I don't think the lollipop cat shark is. Abrosturus definitely is, but and we'll double check because we do have a family guide on Pentanchidae, also known as the Deepwater Catsharks. So we'll double check. This is really interesting. So you have a nice shot of the egg cases of Deepwater Catsharks, but again, our catshark, the African Sawtail Catshark, gives live birth, which is very unusual. So, this is why this is really surprising because again, egg cases are just a huge characteristic of cat sharks. So it's a great shot of a male Deepwater Catshark. It's really cool to see. Oh, that's a great shot actually. This particular shark has a pretty large head actually. So before you look at more clips, let's double check the family. So this is the family Pentanchidae. So these are the Deepwater Catsharks. So, and we can have a nice little overview of who's who in this family. So the first one is Galeus. Galeus. Let's see. And that's a really cool. There we go. Just want to have a good view of this. So there's only one species of Galeus, Galeus suartani, which is brand new actually. So this is 2019, brand new genus. So. Oh my gosh, Minjas, I just saw this. I used to love digging for bloodworms at the beach. Oh, that's so cool. However, tail similar to a frill shark. Yes, that's a great observation actually. Which is kind of cool. And because these are deepwater species, because these cat sharks and the frilled sharks are deepwater species, I wonder if, because when you think of like the water pressure, as you go further, like deeper and deeper and deeper, I wonder if you have to be. I wonder if that affects the viscosity of the water overall. I'm not really 100% sure, but. And therefore, a different tail type might be more ideal as far as like swimming through the abyss. I'm not really sure, but that's actually a really cool observation that deepwater cat sharks and frill sharks have a similar tail type. So, but yeah, this is cool. Galeus suartani, so brand new species and brand new genus from 2019, named for the Greek mythological sea demon Galeus, who was a handsome boy until he turned into a shark by the goddess Aphrodite as punishment for boasting that he was more beautiful than she. Interesting. It's a really cool shark legend. I really love that summary because I remember there's a really cool. I don't know if anyone has ever seen the eyewitness, like the DK eyewitness videos. It's a series of like British videos, like the DK eyewitness books from the early '90s. They are free and available on YouTube, and they're super super fun. But they had a really good one on sharks. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can find it. You know, let's see if I can find it for the stream. I asked, please don't watch it simultaneously, but like DK eyewitness sharks. Not that one. Oh, do they not have it anymore? They may not have it. I thought DK Eyewitness had an official YouTube channel, but I think these are re-uploads, so I probably shouldn't share them. But okay, well, it was anyway. DK Eyewitness had this really good series on different things: dinosaurs, the human body, cats, sharks, cat sharks. And they had this really cool section on shark mythology where the most famous one I would say is like Polynesian shark mythology and Polynesian shark culture. But lesser known is like Greek shark mythology and Greek shark culture. And it's really cool to see the reference to this here. So just to read it again. Achilleos, named for the Greek mythological sea demon, modern transcription Achilleos, who was a handsome boy until he turned into a shark by the goddess Aphrodite as punishment for boasting that he was more beautiful than she. So, very cool. Apersturus, so the demon cat sharks. We're quite familiar with this group now. I wonder if they'll have an illustration of one. Oh, I guess they do. This one at the top. Which that's a really bad, that's a very damaged individual. So heavily emaciated or desiccated. Desiccated is the right word. So, but you can kind of see all of these Apersturus species. So there's quite a few demon cat sharks in the world. The name for Apersturus, let's see. Okay, interesting. That's actually really cool. So I'm just reading the name a, or ad, the negative prefix, which means without. So a great example is asexual reproduction. The A indicates this animal reproduces without sexual reproduction. So like sharks reproduce sexually and have sexual reproduction. Nematodes don't reproduce sexually. They don't need a mate to reproduce. So it's termed asexual reproduction, and the A in asexual means without. So it's without sexual reproduction. So it's actually really cool. So in that sense, in the Greek word the Greek prefix A, when you say pristis, like saw, like pristiaphoriforms, like the saw sharks. So it's the same root word, pristis, which is Greek for saw. The term Apersturus means without a saw, and this is referring to the absence of a sawtooth crest of enlarged dermal denticles along the upper edge of caudal fin, as found in the closely related Galeus, Apersturus or Galeus. So this is actually really cool. We talked about the very top of the stream that our cat shark has, Galeus polli, the African Sawtail Catshark, has a ridge of dermal denticles on the top of the tail, and its cousins, the Apersturus, lack that ridge. So it's actually really cool. So that's one thing that makes them different. So that's actually, I really never knew that that's where the name Apersturus came from. That's really cool to see kind of the connections there. So love that. Howard, I absolutely agree. Love shark culture. Very much so. Same here. My favorite still to this day, I really love like North American shark culture, where different tribes, they did venerate like sharks, like fossil shark teeth, or like use them or incorporated them. It depended on the tribe. Some incorporated them into like shamanic rituals, and so there's some tribes that have done burials with shark teeth. And like shark teeth are incorporated in burials, which is extremely cool. And also in North America, a lot of different tribes traded shark teeth. So you would find teeth from like the coast of the United States, being found in the Mississippi area, or like the upper Mississippi, which is miles and miles away, and the only reason they got there was from a trade network, which is really cool. So, Asimbolus. Okay, so Asimbolus galacticus. That's like a really cool name. Pretty shark. Very different looking. This one, you can immediately see this one's a bit different. Because the dorsal fins are not as closely related, or they're not as close together. The anal fin is also quite reduced. It's not as large as we've seen in the other members of this family. Asimbolus is potentially means without. Let's see. There's a etymology. So etymology not explained. It's speculated that it's something to do with kind of a subtle feature on sharks, the labial fold of the upper lip. So it's a cool name. It almost makes you think of like abyss, but I know it's a completely different name. So Asimbolus, but it's quite a few species actually. Interesting. Bythylurus. Bithyos refers to the deep. That's actually like the word bathyal, like deep, or bathymetry, deep. So in the deep, referring to its deep water habitat. Ilurus is cat, probably from the vernacular catshark. So really cool, Bythylurus. This one is interesting. It has squared off fins like our Galeus kind of catshark. But again, the anal fin is quite small. Even the pelvic fin is a bit small too. And this one has a pretty big head. So we got Figaro, which is kind of cool. This is probably named for the eponymous barber in various dramas, like The Marriage of Figaro, Illusion Not Explained or Evident. So a scientist may have just named this Figaro for no reason, which is kind of funny actually. But the Figaro catsharks. So this looks even more different, where you have like this kind of like rounded hump on kind of like a rounded hump around like the head, in front of the pectoral fin, and then more pointed classic dorsal fins. So pretty interesting. Galeus. So here we go. Galeus comes from Galeus, the weasel, used by Aristotle for the name of a small shark or dogfish, perhaps alluding to the pointed snout, swift movements, and or rapacious feeding behavior of smaller predatory sharks. And we've got Galeus polli, which is the Galeus polli down here, which is the African Sawtail Catshark in honor of Belgian ichthyologist Max Pohl, who first brought attention to the species. Interesting. We also have Galeus aurai, which this is the blackmouth catshark. So this is the one that we saw in this clip. So that species swimming around there. So Cephalurus. So okay, I think I was wrong. So I guess Cephalurus is part because we saw. Here we go, the lollipop catshark. So this is Cephalurus. So this is part of the same family. Okay. So I was mistaken. So lollipop catsharks are part of Pentanchidae. So they are a cousin to the African Sawtail Catshark. I think Parmaturus is also a cousin to that as well. That makes sense. So we'll double check that. Hylailurus. I think these might be the Eddies or the Isaacs, if I'm not mistaken. So these are South African catsharks. Hapoblepharus, I think, are the shy sharks. Hylailurus. Who is this species? Hylailurus bulgarii. So really beautiful illustration, very beautiful color pattern here. Holohylailurus, another very pretty species. Parmentaurus, so there we go. So that is a kind of deepwater cat shark. Pentanchidae. That is an extremely weird shark. Hold on. Look at this one. Pentanchidae, from pente means 5, anchus perhaps an abridgment of branch, referring to 5 pairs of gills or gill slits, unique among a group of sharks in which the author's earnest. Oh, I see. So this is such a strange looking cat shark. They thought, apparently the authors originally thought this was a kind of Hexantiform, like a cousin to frilled sharks or sevigill sharks, and they thought it was weird that it had 5 gills, but in reality it's a kind of cat shark. But still, this is a very strange looking shark. Pentanchidae profundicollis. It almost looks like it just has one dorsal fin. Is that correct? Huge pectoral fin, very large anal fin, and large caudal fin. Is there not a second dorsal fin? This is a very strange shark. Interesting. Love the illustrations, by the way. It's really cool to see. And then Parmentaurus. So this is the family. So this is the family of deepwater cat sharks. A lot of variety in this group. So you have like the colorful ones, but you also have like these kind of freaky deepwater sharks. So speaking of colorful ones, I'm just gonna make sure. Hey, Mondo, welcome back. Sorry, just catching up on the comments. Howard, yes, Haida shark culture, really interesting. Funny big head shark is officially related. Oh my gosh. Howard, yes, looks like a goblin shark. Yeah, very, very strange looking shark. It's kind of cool that it's a cat shark, even though it looks so much like other kinds of species. This is really fun to see that Haploblepharus is a kind of deepwater cat shark, and we'll see it in a bit. There's a cuttlefish, just kind of cruising around. But Haploblepharus are the shy sharks, which are an adorable group of sharks. And hopefully we'll see it somewhere around this cuttlefish. There we go. So these are shy sharks. So this is a kind of Pentanchidae shark. So a cousin of Galeus, very cute. And again, these are the sharks that are known for covering their eyes when they are frightened. So they'll use their tail, they'll curl their tails in front of their eyes, so that they can look like they're hiding. Hence the name shy shark. So we may not see that behavior in this clip, but still, it's very cute, very unique form of behavior in this group. So. And the puff adder shy shark is probably the most famous one, I feel. And if I'm not mistaken, so it's Haploblepharus edwardsi, so that. I think this also is known as a happy eddy. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, but very cute little shark, and I love that behavior of it covering its face with its tail, as if it was shy. So, okay. I'm sorry, I should have been liking and subscribing to these clips. So this is Brian Sue. Was the first clip with like the really little cat sharks, which really do look like Galeus to me. I mean, just with the size of the fins, this looks like a kind of Galeus shark, but I'm not sure which one. Martin S has the black-mouthed cat shark video, so this is Galeus ri in the deep water. MBARI, the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, is super cool. They get a lot of really great clips of sharks, so definitely like and subscribe to them. Yeah, they have a lot of great footage, and I love seeing their videos in general. And then this is from Nick Visser Madog. So really great footage of these shy sharks. Very cute, unique group. So, And it just looks so different from the others. I just want to double check. Haploblepharus. So it's kind of amazing. This is in the same family. It looks so different from, like, it's kind of amazing that this is the same family as, demon cat sharks. It's the same one as, like, the Deepwater creepy ones. It technically is a Deepwater cat shark, as far as the family Pentanchidae goes. Even though this species clearly lives in the shallows and he loves to spend his time in kelp forest, close to the coast. Pretty interesting. A lot of variety and a lot of diversity in this family. So, finally, last clip we have is the orange spotted cat shark Asymbolus. I'm very excited to see this because I did not watch this clip beforehand. And Asymbolus is, I don't think I've ever seen a clip of that kind of cat shark. It's a genus I've never seen before. Oh, there he is. Okay. Very pretty shark. Immediately just kind of popping out of nowhere, checking out the bait. And we'll rewind it so people have view. There he is again. Very active swimmer. And there he goes. He's going for it. Kind of jumping down and pausing and twisting his whole body to get a little piece. Oh, he is very feisty. Okay. It's a very cute shark. Let's watch that again, because that was actually really cool footage. I also love the variety of fish here. Some of these look like trunk fish. Oh, here's the shark again. So, definitely stimulated by the bait. Kind of trying to figure out and pinpoint what's going on and where he can get his food. I love that this shark pauses for a little bit and then becomes extremely active. Very, 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 like, yeah, there he goes. He lunges on, he's trying to get into it, pauses. That's really cute. Oh, and I just noticed this. So this kind of, this looks like a filefish, actually. This filefish may have taken a bite out of him, or kind of maybe nipped at him so he can get out of the way. I can't tell if it's a filefish or a triggerfish. It's somewhere in that group. This guy is gonna nip at the shark. We'll watch it one more time, and then we'll dive into more of the African Sawtail Catshark. Alright, the shark is getting excited. I think it's drawing the attention of this filefish. Filefish comes in, nips, and that's why the shark gets really agitated. So at first glance, it looked like, I thought he was like overstimulated by the food, but the reality is this fish took a little nip out of him. So, and probably kind of scared him. Yeah. So. See if we can get one more shot of that. There he goes. Fish is looking at the shark. Boom. Gotcha. You know, it's kind of funny. Fish can be a little... Bony fish can be a little mean. Like, I've done scuba diving with sharks before. I've done scuba diving with bony fish. And so far, I've been bit by three different kinds of bony fish have bit me. Sharks never have bitten me. I mean, they can, but I've been bit by a sergeant major, a sheep's head, and a bluegill. So these are the three fish that have bitten me. So anyway, and they're all I guess they're just the sergeant major. I'm trying to remember this, and I'll play this one more time as I kind of recount this. The sergeant major was being territorial, and he's very small. He's like 1/100th of my size, but he's very brave. So he swam up to me and bit me. I think the sheep's head was fascinated by my hair, and so he took a bite, just kind of maybe to test it. And then the bluegill was my fault because I got too close to its nesting site, which I didn't realize. I didn't know that it was a male bluegill, which is a freshwater fish, in Virginia, protecting its nest site. And so he nipped my fingers, just letting me know that I was getting too close to his house. So, which made sense. Too close to his nest. So. But yeah, but fish are funny. They're very, it's like, I feel like we, assume fish are just kind of, I think it's easy to underestimate fish, but fish have a lot of personalities and, can, they can't do it, so far they can't do damage, but there is one fish that does, I think, freak divers out or swimmers out. It's the Goliath grouper. It's large enough to be a little bit like, just watch out what you're doing. Like, if you get a really big one, they might actually be able to kind of take a chunk. So, but anyway, so we're going to learn more about the African Sawtail Catshark. So, it's really cool to see its cousins in motion, but for the rest of the night, we'll just kind of look at this species in particular, kind of figure out what we know about it, what it needs, and we'll see what happens. So, African Sawtail Catshark, Galeus polli. So this is a vulnerable species on Western Africa, stretching from is this region? I always get confused. Is this region? Oh, this is Morocco. I'm sorry. I know there's a region here that. Forgive me. I thought there was a disputed region called West Africa, but my apologies. Morocco to South Africa is the range. So all along the coast, which is kind of cool because this crosses tropical zone and temperate zones. So a pretty large range. But let's see why it's vulnerable. The African Sawtail Catshark is a small catshark endemic to the eastern Atlantic Ocean from southern Morocco to South Africa. It is demersal on a continental shelf and upper continental slope at depths of 159 to 720 meters. The African Sawtail Catshark has been reported as bycatch in demersal trawl fisheries across its range, but may inhabit depths beyond the reach of some regional fishing activities. However, off West Africa, there are a number of European distant water vessels using demersal trawl and long line to target demersal fish and shrimp species that reach the depth limit of this species. So demersal means bottom, bottom dwelling, bottom trawl. And by the way, these are really, demersal trawling. Trawling is really destructive. I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie Ponyo. Like the Miyazaki animated movie, the Japanese animated movie from Studio Ghibli, Ponyo. But one of the early shots of that movie, I think, just beautifully captures how destructive trawling is and what it is. It's not preachy. It's just very this is what it does, and it has a net just hauling everything in it, hauling fish in it, mud in it, the main character Ponyo in it. And to date, I feel like that's been the most effective demonstration of how destructive fisheries stuff can be. So just as a little side note, bottom trawling just really ravages underwater habitat. You could not do it. You should not. I mean, I really hope there should be protections around coral reefs and stuff, but there's no way you could do something like that near a coral reef because you completely destroy the coral and you actually damage. Not only a beautiful ecosystem, but you can damage ecotourism quite a bit. But more so, in the United States, there's a lot of bottom trawling for shrimp in the southeast, and it's just a very destructive fishing practice because you just unearth so many things in the mud, scallops, flounder, oysters, it's just really destructive, and you're just doing it for shrimp. So there's a lot of bycatch in bottom trawling. You can argue that all fishing has bycatch and all fishing is destructive. I mean, you really can. Bottom trawling is just really bad. So just little random PSA is just. I feel like right now, I think for seafood, shrimp is the most cautious I get as far as like how was this attained. Crabs, I get it depending on like blue crabs I feel a little bit better about because those are usually like caught in a better way, but like shrimp I get really nervous about because like bottom trawling or shrimp farming are really the only ways you can get shrimp, and I'm really nervous about shrimp. So yeah, but anyway, let's see. Across West Africa, total artisanal fishing effort. Artisanal means like small scale, local. So not it like it is commercial in the sense that like it's it can be people fishing to sell fish or fishing for subsistence, but it's extreme. It's like one individual. It's extremely small scale, so it's not commercial at all. So. I mean, like, as in, like, it's not like an enterprise. It's not like a group with a boat per se. It's just very, very artisanal means like small scale, local. So, across West Africa, total artisanal fishing effort increased by tenfold between 1950 to 2010. Consequently, the catch per unit effort of artisanal and industrial vessels declined by 34% over this period. Overall, there is high spatial distribution overlap with intensive fishing pressure, reported declines of sharks in its range. No species-specific management, but it may have some refuge at depth. So it looks like our shark might be doing okay because it can escape fishing pressure, but we don't know that yet. The African Sawtail Catshark is suspected to have undergone a population reduction of 30 to 49% over the past 3 generation lengths, based on actual levels of exploitation, and is assessed as vulnerable. It's kind of hard to say how the species is going to fare, because I think they said that there's no conservation effort in place. There are no species-specific measures in place for the African Sawtail Catshark. For European vessels fishing in Moroccan waters, there's a 5% bycatch limit for demersal sharks. Further information is required on its distribution, ecology, and life history, as well as interactions with distant water fleets fishing in African waters. So. Oh, Minjas, thank you. Amen, though. 100%. Also, Ponyo, sorry, I just saw your comment about Ponyo. I like it a lot. I see why, I love Miyazaki movies. They're all fantastic in different ways. I see why Ponyo doesn't get as much love as the other ones, but because it's a little bit more low key, but I really like it. It's very relaxing, but also has a lot of great messages about the ocean that I really like. It's a little bizarre, but I really like it. So I highly recommend. If anyone has HBO Max, it is on HBO Max. So this is not sponsored by HBO Max, by the way. Like, why in the world would they? But yeah, just it's there. So let's see. So Galeus polli, African Sawtail Catshark, discovered in 1959. Let's see. Feeds mainly on small bony fish, including lanternfish, hakes, grenadiers, rockfish, and lightfish. Also squid and crustaceans. So this is really cool. This is a Deepwater diet. Like, this is a Twilight Zone kind of diet. Like, the big thing that gave it away is the lanternfish, but grenadiers, that's also a big one. And I really love that Howard captured that in his illustration with the round-nosed grenadier fish right here in blue. So for anyone who hasn't seen, we showed this at the top of the stream, but this is Howard's awesome art showing our species for tonight, the African Sawtail Catshark, as well as the South African frilled shark. So really, really great shot, a really great illustration from him. So thank you again, Howard, for submitting this. This is one of my favorites, and I think one of your best as far as just illustrations to the stream. It just looks really cool. So thank you so much. This is super cool. Lightfish, this is kind of a cool group that I don't think we have on the western side of the Atlantic, so that's actually really cool to see. The ovoviviparous note is interesting because we said that this shark does give live birth with was it with a placenta or without? Without would be ovoviviparous. Where did we see that? which... Oh, we saw it here. Gotcha. Galeus polli is the only confirmed Galeus species known to exhibit viviparity to date. Interesting. Reproductive mode, unlike most other Galeus species, is viparous without a yolk sac placenta. Okay, so that is ovoviparous. Gotcha. So this is correct. This is correct. Still extremely unusual because catsharks are usually what's called oviparous, which means egg laying. So this is a very unusual form of reproduction. So this is interesting too. Tolerates bottom with low oxygen levels. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious about what the chemistry is for deep water environments, because that makes me think that's actually really interesting that they have that note, because so I know in the Chesapeake Bay we have this unfortunately infamous thing called dead zones, where there's no oxygen on the bottom of the deep parts of the bay, and that happens because it's a long story, but in the Chesapeake Bay there's a lot of farming and, you know, like housing development with like fertilizer in the yard, like I mean like, you know, like things that, you know, make your flowers grow, whatever, and all of it runs off into the bay, and it stimulates plant growth, including phytoplankton growth. And in the summer, when you have a lot of solar energy, the phytoplankton multiply a lot. They consume a lot of carbon dioxide, produce a lot of oxygen, but when they die, they are consumed by a lot of bacteria that in turn consume a lot of oxygen. And so when you get to the bottom of the bay, after these blooms of phytoplankton, the bacteria that come in after them to, you know, decompose them, consume all that oxygen to the point where they create this thing called a dead zone, where there is no oxygen on the bottom of the water, and it affects a lot of animals. Fish are very sensitive to dead zones. I think crabs are slightly tolerant, but they're still not doing the best with that. So, on a smaller scale, which is the Chesapeake Bay, that's kind of how you can get low oxygen environments. There's a famous example of that in mangroves, where tarpon are evolved to deal with low oxygen by gulping air. You know, when the tide goes out in mangroves, there's some reaction that happens that water becomes anoxic, but tarpon can actually breathe air or suck air in to help them hunt and maintain oxygen in their blood when the other animals are kind of freaking out because there's no oxygen. So as far as the deep water environment, I'm trying to think, like, I guess I would assume we saw a really cool chart, recently that was talking about the different oxygen levels or chemical levels once you get deeper and deeper in the ocean. I can't remember where we found that, but I'm trying to remember if, as a rule, do deep water environments have lower oxygen, which might make sense because if you have like all of this like material coming from the surface and there's no light, there's no plants producing oxygen, and there's just a bunch of like bacteria and things consuming it. So I wonder if this note about tolerates bottom with low oxygen levels might have something to do with the deep water environment, but I'm not 100% sure. So it's interesting food for thought. And I'm familiar with like shallow water ecosystems. I'm not as familiar with deep water ones. So if anybody else is familiar with deep water ones, oh yes, Howard, anoxic. So that anoxic means no oxygen. So I think hypoxic, if I'm remembering correctly, hypoxic means low oxygen, and anoxic means no oxygen. So let me look that up, just to make sure I got that right. Anoxic. Yes. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, so, yeah. It's kind of a cool word. It's also a good scary word. So anoxic means no oxygen, then hypoxic I think means low. Yeah, hypoxic means low. Oh, this is cool. Howard, the fossils from Cleveland of Devonian age are so detailed because a lack of oxygen in their environment. I'm going to star that. That is super cool. I did not know that. That's awesome. Devonian age. So these are these like fish fossils? What kind of fossils? I'm assuming it's probably fish of some kind, but that's actually really, and maybe early sharks. That's super cool. Thank you for sharing that. That was extremely cool. Let's see. This is interesting. Life cycle mating behavior of the African Sawtail Catshark. Eggs are sometimes fertilized internally by accident via close apposition of gonophores in otherwise oviparous fishes, and may be retained within a female's body to complete some of the early stages of embryonic development. Wow. So, let me make sure I got that right. Hold on. I think I know what's going on, but I just want to make sure I've got that right. Okay. So gonophore is a genital pore or opening in the reproductive system of some invertebrates. Apposition. The positioning of things being close together. Oh, I see. Okay. In other ways of oviparous fish. Okay. So if I'm reading that correctly, we have to put a pin in this just in case we learn more about this throughout the night. But if I'm reading that correctly, in a normal mating act, there's enough sperm to fertilize X amount of eggs. But then, given the internal anatomy of this particular shark species, sometimes there's accidental fertilization, or unless this is a very complicated way of saying sperm retention, where some sharks or some animals do retain sperm, where after a mating event they will still carry sperm that is not necessarily yet fertilizing an egg, but will do so later. So that's one example of there's some cases where animals give birth without an apparent father. And that's one case in which that can happen, where a female will retain sperm. It's just depending on the animal. But then there's also cases, famously with sharks, where there's true parthenogenesis, in which there's no sperm involved whatsoever. The shark, one of the eggs just started developing on its own in a female shark without male influence whatsoever. And you have this happen famously in bonnethead sharks. It is the thing that happens. So. A few other animals have demonstrated that as well, but anyway, interesting. It's kind of cool to see that the African Sawtail Catshark, I didn't think we would get a lot of information on it, but we're actually getting quite a few notes, so pretty interesting. Other common names, Golayo, I like that name actually, and it's the only new one. No new information. Confirmed that they do eat squid, because they said cephalopods, but then they switched to squid, so gotcha. Okay. No real new information from sharkreferences.com, so I think with that, we'll probably just dive into some research. We did read through this, so this is kind of more like an identification guide, talking about the physical features of this species. Really beautiful illustration, so... in low oxygen environment. So, oh, sorry, Mingus, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. I forgot that I can pin comments, so I should do that. I actually should start doing that, but sorry about that. Let's see. Yes, like amphibians too. Yep. So yeah, some amphibians do that too. I love, famously, Jurassic Park shows that really well, where the female dinosaurs start laying eggs. Because actually, no, wait. Sorry, no, that was different. Sorry, in Jurassic Park, some of the female dinosaurs switched sex to male because West African frogs could do that. So never mind. Close. It wasn't the same thing, but yeah, I forgot about that. So love that part. Love that movie. Like love that part of that movie. It's so interesting. So. Fish do that too. One of my favorites, the black sea bass, switches sex throughout life. So they start as male, but then when they reach a certain size class, they turn female. Quite a few fish do that actually, which is kind of interesting. I'm pretty sure sharks do not do that, but still really interesting stuff. So. We already saw these guides, so we'll kind of keep looking. So nice, really nice illustrations of the African Sawtail Catshark. Interest to fisheries is limited. Yeah, unfortunately, you could see in this report the conservation status is least concern, but you know, as time went on, unfortunately that degraded to vulnerable, so the species might, yeah, its status degrade. I can't remember. I wonder if I can quickly see when this was published. I remember in 2020, a lot of the sharks' statuses were updated on the IUCN, and they were updated for the worse. That was awful, because like it was a horrible year, as we all know, but that was just another blow. Whereas like, oh man, the shark statuses were updated and they were just really bad. Oh wow, okay, yeah. So this is 2015. So this shark was considered least concern in 2015, and then I guess the IUCN Red List updated it. Yep, in 2020, and so it's vulnerable. So it's doing worse. And just as a note, you know, the timing is unfortunate. The reality is, in 2015, or by the time the assessment was published in 2015, we may not have known as much about the species as we do, or we did in 2020. So it's not like the shark declined in 5 years. I mean, it very well could have, but it more likely it's the data caught up where we're starting to realize, oh wait a minute, no, we actually were a little too optimistic. It's actually doing worse than we thought originally. So, and I feel like that's the case for a lot of shark species. Sand tiger sharks, they were originally considered to be vulnerable, and then in that 2020 update, they were reclassed as critically endangered. So, yeah, so it's a shame to see that. This is new. Let's see if there's anything new information on this. So here's a guide on the African Sawtail Catshark. A common to abundant small deepwater shark in tropical to cold temperate waters. That's kind of cool. The upper depth range they're saying is 115, so you're kind of entering into the sunlit zone a little bit, but mostly between 200 and 500 meters. Shrimp is part of the diet, so this is new. Okay, not much new, so we'll keep reading. Oh, this is kind of cool. This is like a little bit of an older paper. Let's see. And I'll just skip the description stuff. I do want to read behavior, because I think that's very interesting. Because there's like subtle differences between this and the other catshark species. It says Galeus polli has a longer anal fin than the blackmouth catshark and other kinds of Galeus, but I'm kind of more interested in the behavior. This is interesting. Galeus polli eggs are found in the oviducts before appreciable embryonic development. They have transparent, apparently very thin shells which soon disappear. Galeus polli gives birth to living, fully formed young. Egg capsules are not heavy-walled, substantial structures and appear to be absorbed in the early stages of development of the embryos in the oviducts. Interesting. Wait, what? Okay, I have to read this out loud to make sure I got this right. So the scientist Pohl had already reported on the capture of 77 specimens taken between these latitudes on the west coast of Africa, and noted the species was ovoviparous. That Pohl used the name Galeus melastomus for these sharks is not so surprising to me, as is Pohl's apparent willingness to discard opinions of dozen zoologists that Galeus melastomus lays eggs in leathery cases. Wow, that's kind of some shade. That's some scientific shade. Look at that. Ooh, ooh, that's so funny. Wow, this author kind of took a dig at the scientist. That's really interesting. Let me read that again. That Pohl used the name Galeus melastomus for these sharks is not so surprising to me, as is Pohl's apparent willingness to discard opinions of dozens of zoologists that Galeus melastomus lays eggs in leathery cases. It is nevertheless true that the literature on the development of Galeus melastomus is scanty, and some of its conclusions may be based on assumptions. Wow. That is so funny, actually. Oh my gosh. Like, he basically said this scientist got it wrong, like Pohl got it wrong, and I'm not surprised. like that's some shade. It's really funny, actually. So, oh hey Minjas, glad to see you. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Yes, episode 100 is only 3 weeks away. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I've said this before, but they always give me something. The study parties always give me something to look forward to on a Monday night. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much. That was a very, very sweet comment. Thank you, Minjas. So, oh my gosh. So, but yeah. Oh, I just realized Pohl. So Pohl is the not the author of the scientist, but this shark is named after Pohl. That is so funny that even the very name of the species is tied up. Oh my gosh, in a little bit of scientific drama. That is really funny. Okay. This is all in French, so I'm not quite... I cannot speak or read French, so we can see... What I can interpret is... I've mentioned a couple times this year that we usually skip over measurements when it comes to sharks, because it's just kind of getting into the weeds, and it's it's a little bit too much detail probably for a live stream. But this is kind of interesting, where you can clearly see why the measurements are important, like why all these like little measurements matter, because they help you determine species. So on the left is the African Sawtail Catshark. On the right is a different species. But you can clearly see that there are some big differences. The African Sawtail Catshark has the nares, like the nostrils, closer together than the other species. The lower jaw is also closer together versus the other species. The lower jaw is also longer than the other species. At a distance, it's kind of cool to see. Like, if you looked at these sharks at a distance, they look almost identical. But when you zoom in and take a very careful look at their measurements, you can clearly see how different these are. In simplest terms, if you were to be kind of silly and look at this like a face, like these two eyes and the mouth, this looks like a grumpy face, but this looks like a really angry face. So you could see very big differences, like on closer inspection between these two shark species. So let's see what other differences we can see. The African Sawtail Catshark has a bit more distance between the pectoral fins than the other species. Has a bit shorter pectoral fin margins than the other species. And actually, overall, the African Sawtail Catshark has smaller pectoral fins than this other species. Let me zoom out for a better comparison. And yeah, you can kind of see that. You can actually see that right here, where these sharks are measured at kind of like the same point, but you can clearly see that this guy has larger fins on the right than the one on the left. So pretty cool. The subtleties do matter. Also, this is great. They actually did a great job comparing these two sharks, because look at this. Prostorus polli versus Prostorus melastomus. This is an old name, by the way, but here's the African Sawtail Catshark. Here's the other one. these are both males at 410 millimeters. So they did a great job. They compared the same sex. They compared the same size. So you're not accounting for like ontogenetic differences, like differences between males and females. You have a direct comparison, and even still, you can see enough differences to verify, okay, these are different species. These are different species of shark. So that's actually really cool. This is a great example of how heuristics matter, like the measurements matter. This is a really great example of how that comes into play. So very cool. I think, yeah, we can keep going. It's not quite 10:30 yet, but if anybody has a suggestion for a shark next week, please leave a comment in the chat box, and we'll keep going through some of the research. So let's see. Reproductive biology of cat sharks off the west coast of southern Africa. So, by David E. Wow, these are titans in the shark world. Sorry. David A. Ebert, Leonard J.V. Campagno, and Paul D. Cowley. These are all extraordinary shark scientists. So, yeah, let's read what this is about. This study presents information on the reproductive biology of 5 southern African cat shark species: Aposturus microps, Aposturus saldanha, Aposturus species, so a brand new one, Galeus polli, and Scalerinus capensis. They're caught between Walvis Bay, Namibia, and Cape Agulha, South Africa, from 50 to 1,016 meters deep. The reproductive mode for 4 species was oviparous, whereas Galeus polli exhibited aplacental viviparity. So, yeah, that's actually really cool. So the other ones lay eggs. The African Sawtail Catshark does not have a placenta, but it still gives live birth. Males of all species attain first maturity slightly larger than females, and males of the 4 egg-laying species attained a larger maximum size than females. That's unusual. Usually female sharks are larger than males, so that's actually pretty interesting. The length at 50% maturity was similar for males and females in most species. All species measured at a total length greater than 75% of their maximum length, except for the male Aposturus and female Galeus polli, which matured. All species matured. Which matured at 71% and 69% respectively of their maximum length. Let's see. The egg case of Aposturus microps has minute tendrils, whereas those of Scalerinus capensis were quite long, suggesting different egg-laying habitats. Fecundity in Galeus polli, the African Sawtail Catshark, ranged from 5 to 13, and a litter size increased in relation to increased female length. So again, the larger the female shark, the more eggs it could lay. Embryos of Galeus polli were large, each measuring approximately 30% of the female total length. That's huge, actually. Neonates of Galeus polli were common and appear to have a demersal lifestyle, so they like to sit on the seabed or stay near the seabed. Those of the 4 egg-laying species were entirely absent from the study. Gravid Aposturus microps were found in summer and winter, indicating a protracted breeding cycle, but reproductively active Scalerinus capensis were caught only in the winter. Prior to the study, reproductive information on these cat sharks was largely lacking. Okay. So in English, these are the small-eyed cat shark, the Saldanha cat shark, the gray wonder cat shark, that's pretty fun, the African Sawtail Catshark, and the yellow-spotted cat shark. So, wait a minute. Now it's the black wonder cat shark. Interesting. Unlike most cat sharks that deposit egg cases in situ, Galeus polli, the African Sawtail Catshark, is an aplacental viviparous species, giving birth to live young. Therefore, when gravid females of the species were found, the number of embryos in each uterus was counted, and the total number plotted against the total length to determine whether there's an increase in litter number or size. This is a lot of detail, so we'll kind of skip that probably. Galeus polli, unlike the other cat sharks in the study, gives birth to live young rather than by egg laying of a position. Okay. Just going to read through the discussion. Oviparity, so egg-laying, is a reproductive mode for most members of the family Sclerinidae, with the genus Galeus being an exception. Members of the genus may exhibit either oviparity or aplacental viviparity. Moreover, the egg-laying members of the genus may exhibit either single or multiple oviparity, a condition considered primitive among elazobranchs. Interesting. Oh, that's a nice view of a Scalerinus egg. And now we know that Scalerinus is in its own family, Scalerinidae, whereas our shark, the Galeus polli, is in Pentanchidae, so it's a deepwater cat shark, so it's different. Okay. Members of the genus Galeus are reproductively more advanced than other cat shark genera, such as Aprostoris and Scalerinus, the reproductive mode of these last two genera being considered to be primitive. It has been suggested that the viviparous Galeus polli is, in a sense, exhibiting an extreme example of multiple oviparity. Of the 17 species within the genus Galeus, only the African Sawtail Catshark definitely exhibits aplacental viviparity. 11 species exhibit single oviparity, and 2 show multiple oviparity. The reproductive mode for 3 is unknown. Males of all species studied here attained first maturity at greater length than females. Further, males matured at a slightly larger length than females in these are 2 species. Studies on catsharks elsewhere have indicated that males of many species mature at about the same size or often slightly larger than females. Again, it's quite unusual. Usually female sharks are larger than males, so it's pretty interesting. It's contrary to the condition found in most vertebrate sharks. Females tend to mature larger than males. Well, there we go. This is really cool. I forgot Britannia is a very important shark as well. And surveying life history patterns found that of 162 species studied, males matured larger in just 23 of the cases. However, males of 917 species Catshark, including the survey, matured at a size equal to or greater than that of the female. So that's actually really cool. I didn't know that about Catsharks, that they kind of buck the trend of sharks in general, where the males get larger than the females, whereas other sharks, like white sharks, bull sharks, tigers, hammerheads, the females get larger. So that's really interesting. Female Galeus polli, the lone viviparous species, grew larger than males. This appears to be so the egg-laying sharks. If a cat shark is laying eggs, the males are larger, but if a cat shark is like the African Sawtail Catshark is giving live birth, the females are larger, which is kind of interesting. That makes sense. Where live birth, you would think that embryonic development is happening inside the mother, so maybe the mother being larger, provides more nourishment for those developing embryos. So that's really interesting, actually. Okay, this appears to be a common characteristic among egg-laying cat sharks. Males tend to grow about the same size, larger than females. Interesting. Overall sex ratio for the 5 species studied here approximate 1 to 1. Okay. And I'm just kind of scanning through this. So, oh, sorry about that. Audio fuzzy. Sorry about that, Howard. Please let me know if it's better now. So I was just kind of scanning through this reading. This is more about the egg-laying sharks, so we'll just kind of skip through this. The number of, we did read this before, the number of Galeus polli embryos, so African Sawtail Catshark embryos, as shown in the present study, appears to increase in relation to the size of the female. An increase in embryo number with female size has been observed in other viviparous elasmobranchs, notably members of the family Triachidae, including the soupfin shark or taupe, the brown smoothhound, and white-spotted hound shark, spotted gully shark, and the leopard shark. These are all sharks of medium size, ranging between 1.2 and 2 meters. To our knowledge, increase in litter size associated with female size for Galeus polli has not been observed in such a small shark species. Neonates of the four... Oh, sorry, no, these are egg-laying, so you don't need to really learn that. But this is kind of interesting anyway. Neonates of the 4 egg-laying species were noticeably absent from the study. It may be that at birth, neonates migrate into areas not sampled effectively by the trawl used, and they remain there for an unspecified period of time. Looks like the African Sawtail Catshark was only collected during the summer because the species' southerly distribution extended only to the northern extreme of the survey area. Okay. That's a really cool study. Prior to the study, reproductive information for these catshark species was largely unknown, or based on anecdotal accounts. This study, although limited, has provided the first information on the reproductive biology of these 5 southern African catsharks. 4 of the 5 species are endemic and possibly have a limited distributional range. Therefore, intensive fishing pressure on their preferred habitat may have far-reaching impact on their population structure. So, pretty interesting. I just realized... Oh, thank you. Audio's better now. I just realized that it's 10:30, so I'm going to pull up a shark just as a suggestion. Because I don't think we've done... This one looks really cool. Just as a suggestion, the hidden angel shark, which is Squatina oculata. So just as a potential suggestion for next week, but this is a very pretty kind of angel shark with this beautiful like dark orange color with black spots. So I'm curious to learn more about it. Angel sharks in general, do need a lot of help. They usually don't fare very well. Kind of getting back to the bottom trawling, they do get caught up pretty easily in trawls. So that might be a really cool one for next week. So just as a potential for next week's stream. So I will say too, let me check the calendar because I'm actually going to be gone during the holiday week, so we definitely have a stream next week, but I think the 23rd, just as a heads up, I will probably be gone just for the holidays. So, but not to fret, we're heading really close to the Great White Stream 100, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to try to pull together something special for that one, so stay tuned for that. So, but just as a heads up, we definitely have a stream next week, but I might be gone the week after, so awesome. All right. So that was a cool paper, just kind of on... I really appreciate that this shark... we don't have footage of it, but we actually do have quite a lot of information on it. And I learned a lot about it, where it's like, I didn't know that Sawtail Catsharks get their name from the dermal denticles, and I didn't know that this one uniquely gives birth to live young, so it's pretty cool. This is another quick view, or like kind of like a summary of the African Sawtail Catshark. Let's see if there's anything. new. We do have a note that this is caught frequently in bottom trawls. Okay. It's kind of unfortunate. It's not just that it's landed in bottom trawls, but it's frequent. So this is part of probably part of why it's a vulnerable species. Just like with the occurrence of fishing. So this may not have. I thought this did have a note on Galeus polli, but it may not. Oh, it does. Okay. This is kind of cool. Okay, yeah. So this is also by Ebert, but index of relative importance for the major prey taxa of 6 species of catshark. This is very interesting for the African Sawtail Catshark. Huge preference for fish. So teleosteae are like the little bony fish. So it's a huge preference for them. They don't really go after crustaceans or squid that much. It's mostly fish. So, and again, of the fish species, there you go. A lot of it is like lanternfish. So interesting. Let's actually look at these up. Sorry, this is Aprosteris microps. Let's look at. Can we get one on? Here we go. So Galeus polli, this was the most common catshark species caught in Namibian waters. It occurred from south of Luderitz to Walvis Bay at depths of 258 to 490. So it's twilight zone. The most common prey group was teleos, where crustaceans and cephalopods consume a minor portion. The dominant teleos species consumed were myctophids, which I'm pretty sure are lanternfish. And then euphausiids and mysids are shrimp. So, okay. Let me look that up again. Myctophids, I'm almost 100% sure are lanternfish. Lanternfish. It's a lanternfish. So, okay, awesome. Actually, I wonder if we can. Let's see if we can get pictures of lanternfish. That does not look like one. That definitely looks like one. And actually, that YouTube video we saw of the blackmouth catch. There we go. Yeah, those were definitely lanternfish in that video. So, yeah. It's kind of cool. Like, you can immediately tell these are deepwater fish. It's just, there's something about, like, the black, the sparsity of the scales. There's, like, what's kind of cool is, like, I feel like as you continue to do marine biology, you can start to get really good, and I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to get closer to there, where if you just look at an animal or look at a fish, you can get an idea of where it lives. I can kind of do that with freshwater versus saltwater fish because they do look different. They have a different kind of feel overall. Saltwater fish tend to be like more like silvery. Freshwater fish tend to be a little bit more like they make me think of there's a texture difference where freshwater fish kind of feel a little bit more like not rubbery, but there's something about the texture of freshwater fish that just look different, and I can't quite pinpoint what it is. But there's something about freshwater fish where it's like if you show me a fish, I could probably tell you it's freshwater or saltwater. Some of that could be bias where it's like I just spent a lot of time with fish, but I feel like there's a point where you can get pretty good at estimating where an animal lives just even based on its appearance. And I feel like the lanternfish, they look like very, very obvious or very evidently deep water kind of animals. So it's pretty cool. Very interesting group. So again, I am not there yet, but hopefully all of us on the stream will get there. It's kind of cool. We've been doing 90. We're nearly 100 species in, which is super cool. So that's actually impressive because that's still only 1/5 of sharks. So only 1/5 is 500 plus species. So can we do them all? I don't know. I am proud that we're close to 100, close to even 1/5. That's pretty amazing. So, let's see. This might be on deepwater sharks in general. So we'll just kind of keep going to see if we can get more information just on our shark for tonight. Howard, yes, great call. The eye to head ratio, great call for deepwater fish identification. Excellent comment. Yeah, that's a great point. So that is an excellent indicator of where a deepwater or like where in the water column an animal can be. So if it has extremely large eyes or no eyes, probably deep water. So really, really good point. Lots of sharks have that kind of feature. Conversely, shallow water sharks like bull sharks, they have tiny eyes, like really, really tiny eyes. So it's kind of, it's actually really cool to see. Yeah, that's really awesome. So, and then just on the biological note, the large eyes is to maximize light in the twilight zone, where even though it's dark, you can still get the minimal amount of sunlight. But then if a fish is too deep, where eyes are useless, it will, and it doesn't migrate or anything. It doesn't go up in a water column at night. It will devolve eyes. It won't have eyes at all. So, but yeah, great comment. Let's see. This might be a checklist that includes the African Sawtail Catshark. So, I probably won't get biological notes. I don't see it in my search, so we'll probably keep looking. Oh, actually, it looks like we might get some notes. It looks like they do have some shark profiles, so let's see what we got. We'll have to scroll down really far, actually, but we can do it. Diania is a kind of squaliform dogfish, so we'll keep going. I'm just kind of scrolling through, making sure it has time to load. Alopidae, we're getting close. Thresher sharks, so it's a lambda-form, so we're getting close. There we go. Crocodile-forms, Catsharks, so here we go. Well, it's kind of fun. I don't know if we've ever really talked about it, but usually for like shark books or shark classification, you have like the frilled sharks or seven gills at the very beginning. And we've seen it on the stream when we go through guides, but like you have the frilled sharks or seven gills at the very beginning, because they're considered like the most primitive. Then you usually get dogfish, like squaliforms. Somewhere in there is like angel sharks, saw sharks, squatiniforms, priscophoriforms. Usually in the middle you get the bullhead sharks, heterodontiforms. Orlectiforms come next, or Orlectolobiforms, like the carpet sharks. The lamniforms are the second to last as far as the orders go, like the mackerel sharks, and then finally the carchariniforms, which are like considered to be the most modern sharks, which is the biggest shark order of them all. And then within that, the catsharks usually come first. So usually it starts with catsharks. It starts with like the really thin, in carchariniforms, it starts with like the very thin snake-like catsharks. And then slowly the species get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you go up kind of like the scale of like the size scale and like the girth scale as well, where you get into like hound sharks, which are a bit larger, a bit girthier. You get into like the classic ground sharks, like bull sharks and sandbar sharks, which are the biggest, the roundest, the heaviest, and then you end with the hammerheads, which are, I think they're technically evolutionarily not the most evolved, but they're seen traditionally as like the most evolved, given the strangeness of their features. So, but yeah, it's kind of cool. Like the order of precedence of sharks, like as far as like if you wanted to like if you read shark, like if you have like a guide on sharks or like these kind of checklists, it's kind of cool to see that there's like a standardization where it's the catsharks are always like the first of the carchariniforms. And the carchariniforms are always like the last order. So they have Galeus polli here, the African Sawtail Catshark, but there we go. Do they have any notes? This endemic Eastern Atlantic catshark occurs on the upper slope and outer shelf, with a range from Morocco to south-central Namibia. The study area seems to drop out of all southern limits between Luderitz and the northwest of the Orange River, and is replaced at similar depths by Holohaleluris and Scalerinus compensis. Holohaleluris vogani and Scalerinus compensis. The present survey found that the African Sawtail Catshark to be common to very abundant from Walvis Bay to the southwest of Luderitz, where it was only found in a few stations together with H. roganis as capensis. It did not occur in Africana. This is a boat, I think. Deep slope stations deeper than 600 meters in Namibian waters or in any stations off southern Africa. This boat, by the way, or the ship, I should say, the Africana, this is the same one that discovered the South African frilled shark, and that's where the South African frilled shark gets its name. So that's actually really cool. Coloration of the species may be variable for large adults that lack blotches, but otherwise seem the same as specimens of color patterns have been commonly collected. Okay, cool. A guide on Galeus polli, but not a lot of details here. I'm just gonna kind of scan through this. We might be getting close to the end. I definitely. This has been a really fun stream. I can feel my brain kind of breaking as far as like the Monday brain, but this has been a really fun one for this Catshark species. We actually did a lot more and covered a lot more than I was expecting for this species. So, sorry for that. Yes, Howard, the deep sea is a surrealistic nightmare. It's so cool. It's such an interesting place where, like, I have been thinking about that recently where, like, I think I had, like, kind of like a fantastical idea of, like, there's probably no way I could do this in my lifetime, but I had kind of like a fantastical idea of, like, you know, is there any way I could ever do, like, a sub charter or like somehow get down there, you know? I'm less interested in that now. I think just with kind of like, you know, the depth, the pressure, the whole Titan stuff that happened last year, or is it Ocean X? Whatever the really horrible accident was. So, although they were being unusually reckless, that company was being really awful. So, so that's kind of not really a comment on the deep sea, more so human error, to be honest. But it is kind of fascinating where it's like you can be miles down, like so, yeah. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Like the actual, like I mean, like it would be really cool to be in a submersible and slowly see everything like disappear. And I just like it's awe-inspiring. It's like simultaneously like extremely beautiful and also like quite like unnerving. Or maybe send a drone. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. There are these really great. Actually, yeah. Let me share this in the chat because I was watching this recently. And it's such a really cool alien world, but like Okeanos. I have no idea why they do not get as many views as they really should be getting more views. So I don't know if this is their official channel, but this has all of the expedition videos. So this channel, Okeanos Redux, is kind of capturing a lot of underwater expeditions. I think all of them are by NOAA. I'm not 100% sure, but these are like high quality footage, like Deepwater expeditions. And I will put the one that I was watching in the chat because this is actually off of where I am in Virginia. This is Washington Canyon. It's not Norfolk Canyon. Washington is a bit further north than Norfolk Canyon, so I've never been to Washington Canyon. I have been to Norfolk Canyon, but at the surface. I've never been down in the depth. But the canyons are an extremely cool ecosystem on the east coast of the United States. And actually, there probably are. Hold on, I'm looking at my chart. Actually, there should be canyons. I feel like there should be canyons off Canada. But the east coast of the United States definitely has underwater canyons. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the chat so that you can watch this because it's such a cool piece of material. If you ever want to watch like and be transported to deep sea environments, you know, you can. The Okeanos stream is awesome, where it could be like an hour, 2 hours, 8 hours. They will film the whole expedition, and you can be cruising with the sub and like just, you know, seeing these amazing environments. And they go everywhere. This one is in like off the coast of Virginia. I think they've done like Hawaiian seamounts. I think they do Caribbean seamounts. I mean, they're pretty much everywhere around, literally around the world. But these are really, really great things where you can actually kind of experience that ocean environment. So, yeah, it's super cool. So, but yeah, and actually, kind of taking a look at this. I mean, just to kind of show you what this is like. I know this is not the South African, the African Sawtail Catshark, but it's still like really. I do want to showcase them because I think this is an extremely cool channel. It really is small, like it doesn't get a lot of views, and I'm kind of shocked that it doesn't really. The summary videos get a lot of views, like the little, I think the most famous one is like the little octopus, or no, the googly-eyed squid is the most famous video, but like, you know, these expeditions are incredible. I'm sure lots of people love to watch this. So yeah, just wanted to share, you know, where you can literally be cruising. Like, I mean, this is it. And I don't have the volume up, but the scientists do offer commentary where they will zoom in on animals and get some really cool high resolution footage. Let me find one such piece. There we go. So, great shot of this crab that they are just monitoring. One comment that they made in this stream was notice how the crab, how deep within the ooze that its legs are going. So that's kind of a really cool observation where it's like, you know, you can't go out there, of course, and like, you know, stick a measuring stick into the ocean floor. I mean, you can, but like you can't go out of your sub and do that. And it was a really cool observation where it's like, oh hey, you know, we might not be able to do that, but the crab is kind of giving us information anyway. Like based on its movements, we can tell that like, okay, it has a lot of silt, you know, this far up its body, indicating that that's a really deep layer of sediment that it's crawling over. So this is the nature of this kind of seabed. It's not this like hard rock seabed. It's an oozy sediment. And that can, you know, unlock a lot of information where it's like, okay, well, are there animals that bury themselves in the ooze, like worms or fish, or, you know, are there, you know, chemical reactions going on in this environment? Like, it's really cool stuff. So, I think they had a great close up of. Is this the creepy? No, this is a kind of eel. This is not a lizardfish. This is a kind of eel that I'm not as familiar with, so. Oh, here we go. Is this a grenadier? I think this is a grenadier. This one is interesting because this has a complex parasite behind its dorsal fin, so that's not part of the grenadier's actual body. But, you know, kind of bringing it all the way back, this is a kind of grenadier, so this is a kind of fish. Kind of bringing it all the way back to your original illustration, and a component of the South African, or sorry, I keep saying South African. I'm so sorry because I'm getting it confused with South African field shark. The African Sawtail Catshark. This is the kind of fish that African Sawtail Catsharks eat. This is not the same species because this is a different part of the world, but this is the kind of fish, grenadiers. So the footage here is like incredible. So, and yes, they do get sharks. There was a shark in this stream, but I think it was very brief and they couldn't get a lock on it on the camera. But still, there's plenty of streams where they get really cool shark material. So I highly recommend Okeanos. Please check it out. It's super cool. So, super cool stuff. So, well... Oh, Bruce, love it. Well, you can, but you can only do that once. That is very true. Love that. So, let's see. I'm gonna just scan through the rest of the material. I know it's almost 11. I will just scan through just in case I have any more notes on this Catshark specifically. And if not, I think we might wrap it up for tonight. But this has been a really cool stream. I learned a lot more about this group of sharks than I was expecting, including this. The dermal denticles are here. Look at C2. So this is a South African. I keep saying it. The African Sawtail Catshark. I wonder if look how raised that denticle is in figure C2. I wonder if that is part of the sawtail feature. it's hard to kind of tell because they're not distinguishing unless these are all overlapping denticles. But that's actually a really high dermal denticle. It's very interesting. So you can imagine like a ridge of these, on the caudal fin being kind of quite noticeable to the touch, So. Okay. Some more notes. Let's make sure I didn't miss any new information. I think that's part of a genetic study, but that's not really a lot on behavior. Okay. That's more shark classification. I think the rest is just general shark classification. I'm gonna put this chart. This is, we've seen this before, but this is really cool. So I'm just gonna, because this is a phylogeny over time, so you can see shark evolution over time. So I think we might end with this, but I'll put this in the chat if anyone wants to read that later, because it's super cool. But and actually, I think our last little thing for tonight. Let's see where our cat shark is on this chart. He's somewhere up here. Okay. Okay, there's Pentanchidae, so these are the Deepwater Catsharks. That's the thing that I'm really excited about, is I never really, I to be honest, like, I think we do have one off the mid-Atlantic of the United States, because like the big one that we have, the big cat shark we have is Scaleurhinus radifer, the chain cat shark, and that's part of the Scaleurhinidae, so these are the classic cat sharks in the yellow up here. But I wasn't quite familiar with the family Pentanchidae, like the Deepwater Catsharks. I wasn't quite familiar with like what made them kind of special and different. And I'm really happy to talk about this shark tonight, because now I have a little bit more of an understanding of this really cool and very diverse group. So so there's Galeus polli. I don't know if you can see that, but he's right here, and he seemed to have potentially evolved in the Miocene. Like a lot of modern sharks kind of come from this era. So a lot of the fossil teeth, like in the Chesapeake Bay region, are Miocene teeth. In North Carolina as well. Chesapeake Bay, North Carolina, Florida, I would say too. A lot of them are Miocene teeth. We sometimes have teeth from the Oligocene, like going back to the Oligocene, but a lot of the teeth that we get as fossils are Miocene, and it's really cool to see that's kind of the rise of a lot of modern sharks. As a family, Pentanchidae, the Deepwater Catshark, seems to have arisen a very, very long time ago. So this family looks like came from potentially the Jurassic. So that's actually really wild. Oh my gosh. So, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. So yeah. Oh, denticles are made of enameloid. They are basically teeth. Yes, yeah, it's super cool feature. So yeah, for the Sawtail Catsharks, if it is a defensive mechanism, it would be a very effective one. Just as far as like kind of cutting away potential predators or predators, I would say. So pretty cool. So, but thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you again, Howard, for this awesome illustration. Oh, Eocene. Texas has Cretaceous fauna. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, and like, again, that chart, I love that phylogenetic chart, because it's really cool to see the evolution of sharks over time. I just think it's amazing stuff. So, but thank you guys so much for watching. This was really cool. I learned a lot more than I was expecting for the African Sawtail Catshark. So, really appreciate what we've learned, and again, really love the art. Thank you so much, Howard, for submitting this, and also including the South African frilled shark. That's just a really cool bonus. I'm really glad we could see illustrations of both. I'm really happy that we saw cousins of the species in motion, where we can kind of get an idea of how the African Sawtail cat shark might move, might behave. And we saw a lot of cool behavior across the Pentanchidae. So it was cool to have like a nice little overview of the Deepwater Catshark family. Yes, for next week, if it sounds good to everybody, I think the hidden angel shark would be kind of a cool pick. It's been a while since we've done an angel shark, and angel sharks in general, again, are doing not so well conservation-wise. Some, like the sand devil, are doing okay, but a lot, like the classic angel shark, really are critically endangered and need our help. So I'm curious about what the hidden angel shark, Squatina oculata, what its story is, and what it needs from us as far as conservation goes. But tune in next week for the hidden angel shark, Squatina oculata, and I hope you guys in the meantime continue to enjoy December and the holiday season. And I will see you next week for the hidden angel shark. But cheers, guys. Take care and have a great rest of your night. Bye.